Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Marvel. My X gene is a creation system. I realized Superman power at first. Chapter 81. It is definitely much stronger than the Magneto King in front of him. What was the result of the battle? Magneto frowned suddenly, and said. He already has a lot of understanding of the strength of the Red Tank. However, he did not expect that someone would be able to fight the Red Tank to such an extent. You know, this is not to restrain the Red Tank before he starts to run. Rather, it was a terrifying battle where the other party was allowed to play their best. Otherwise, even if Magneto wants to deal with the Red Tank, he must make a move before the other party takes action. Otherwise, even Magneto may not be able to withstand the powerful power of the Red Tank. It should be over there. The Night Walker pointed to the distance, and a huge pit spoke. I feel that boy is still there. Having said this, the Night Walker stopped talking. But the meaning is obvious. Because Leho was still there, she didn't dare to go there. Nightwalker, stay here. When that person leaves, go and bring the Red Tank back. Magneto thought for a moment, then said immediately. The most urgent task now is to take Chin away from here first. Otherwise, if Chin is stimulated again, it will not be so easy to take away. Quote. It is good. The night girl was stunned when she heard the words, her face was a little ugly. But she also knew that she had no right to refuse at all. Soon, Magneto left with Chin. As the professor dead, Leho suddenly noticed that Professor X's breath was gone in Chin's house. He suddenly dodged and rushed towards Chin's house. Really, seeing the outside of the dilapidated villa, Storm and Wolverine stared blankly at the wheelchair in front of them. The two were silent, with sad and painful faces. Where's the professor? Although Leho knew that Professor X was dead, he still pretended to be excited and asked. After all, he promised Professor X not to tell the truth about this matter. Storm wanted to speak, but couldn't say a word, she just stared at the wheelchair. Killed by Chin. After a little silence, Wolverine said with a look of remorse on his face. He suddenly felt that it was an absurd conclusion for him to tell the professor to stop controlling Chin's mind and let her let go completely. Yeah, everyone hates being manipulated. But if you don't control it, you will cause damage, and even act against your true will. So, is this right or wrong? If Chin is awake, she will never hurt the professor. Wolverine thought secretly. He believes that Chin is kind, and he will not kill Professor X who raised him since he was a child and is also a teacher and father. But the truth is, Chin not only killed the professor, but even directly disintegrated him into molecules. In the end, there were no bones left. So at this moment, Wolverine is really regretful. Let's go. Leho spoke to the two of them. Now that Chin has been taken away by Magneto, and Professor X is dead, there is no point in staying here anymore. The Storm was silent for a long time, and finally picked up the wheelchair on the ground, hugged it tightly, and walked outside. Wolverine Logan looked around with complicated eyes. Only then did he follow up slowly. The three walked out of the dilapidated villa in a blink of an eye. What caught the eye was a mess. There are deep pits, charred cars, collapsed houses everywhere. Orlo and Logan were suddenly shocked, and their eyes were full of horror. What a fierce battle. Sorry, that Red Tank is really strong. I have exhausted all my whole cards and means to barely defeat him. But it's too late to go in, I'll help you protect Professor X. Leho spoke immediately. In fact, he had a chance to save Professor X. But the truth of this matter, he has promised Professor X not to tell Storm and Wolverine. So I can only pretend to apologize here, and tell the two of them the truth of another matter. Sorry, Lee. After a while, Orlo looked at Leho immediately, and said sincerely. Why do you say that? Leho was taken aback when he heard Storm Girl say that. The teacher is dead. As the most powerful you have no protection by his side. I hate you. But now I know that you are also fighting such a powerful enemy. I misunderstood you. Orlo looked at Leho with regret in his eyes. It's okay. Leho waved his hand and said with a smile. In fact, he deliberately let Professor X die. Although this is what Professor X meant, it cannot be said that Orlo was wrong. Our car has been destroyed, let's find a car in the next town. Wolverine spoke. It was a mess all around, and there was hardly a whole place left. Naturally, their car was not spared. Forget it, I'll take you to fly back. Leho thought for a while, then spoke immediately. Go to the next town like this, and then look for a car to go back to Xavier College. It's just too much trouble. Convenient. Logan was taken aback for a moment, and asked curiously. It's very convenient, look over there. Leho smiled, and immediately pointed in the direction behind them. The two were a little puzzled, but they still turned their heads to look, but found that there was nothing. Transform light, turn into chocolate candies. Leho suddenly raised his hand, pointing towards the two of them. In an instant, a purple-pink ray shot from his finger to the two of them. Bang bang bang. Immediately, two streams of smoke appeared, Orlo the Storm, and Logan the Wolverine. It turned into two chocolate jelly beans. Then he turned the wheelchair into a lump of clay and put it in his pocket. This is very convenient. Leho smiled, grabbed two jelly beans, and white waves rolled all over his body. It turned into a long rainbow and disappeared into the sky. 10 minutes later, Leho's figure appeared above Xavier College. Deformed light, restore. Bang bang bang. Two more streams of smoke appeared. This time, Storm and Wolverine recovered from chocolate jelly. With the strength of the two of them, after being turned into chocolate jelly beans, they temporarily lost consciousness. So at this moment their consciousness is still in the previous Leho. Let them see the scene behind them. We have arrived. Leho did not explain to the two of them. How do we get back? Of course it flew back. Leho held Logan's neck in his left hand, and held Storm Girl in his arms with his right hand, and slowly landed down. Quote. Logan was a little uncomfortable with this posture. But looking at the bottom, there are still thousands of meters high, so it is no longer struggling. Soon the three of them arrived at the gate of Xavier College. This is one of my newly awakened little abilities, called Deformed Light. You can turn people or things into gadgets. As Leho said, he took out the wheelchair clay block from his pocket. Then, in front of the two of them, he used the deforming light to transform the wheelchair back. It's incredible. Wolverine was a little shocked. This kind of mutant ability is simply terrifying. Your mutant ability is no small thing. If you turned the enemy into biscuits, wouldn't you be able to eat them in one bite? Logan said in shock. Storm Girl also looked at Leho in horror. After all, for them, the ability of this mutant is really not weak. In principle, people who are weaker than me can do this. Leho shrugged, and did not deny Wolverine's words. In fact, Leho who has the template of Majin Buu. If he wants, he can even use Majin Buu's ability to absorb other people. It's just that for Leho, it's useless even if someone weaker than him absorbs it. As for people who are stronger than him, it is not so easy to absorb. Of course, except for this reason. The main reason is that Leho has no interest in attracting people. He always felt that in that way, he became not his pure self. Too frightening. Wolverine and Storm looked at each other. Both of them saw the shocked look in each other's eyes. Obviously, this small ability of Leho, in their opinion. It's simply terrifying, strong and perverted. Previously, Chin's power to disintegrate thoughts was already terrifying, and it could make people's bones disappear. But Leho is even more terrifying. Not only are there no bones left, but after being eaten by others, they will be turned into excrement and excreted. Simply unimaginable. However, due to the shock, the two of them came out a little bit from the shock of Professor X's death. Let's go, everyone is still waiting for us. Seeing the shocked look of the two, Leho shook his head immediately. Majin Buu's ability is average. Otherwise, Majin Buu would have dominated the universe long ago. Turn the entire universe into something delicious and fun. This ability also has many disadvantages. For example, when Leho casts the deformed light, it will consume the chi in his body. And once the opponent's chi exceeds that of Majin Buu, there is no way to transform the opponent. It may even be bounced back. To put it bluntly, this ability is a little thing for bullying. Even so, this is a terrifying ability. The Storm sighed and shook her head. Perhaps Leho, an upright and kind person, hasn't realized how terrifying this ability is. But Orlo and Logan saw worries in each other's eyes. It would be a disaster if Leho used this ability to mess around. In fact, the appearance of the two of them at this moment has already fallen into Leho-shan's eyes. But Leho-shan didn't care at all. Because of the deforming light, among all his abilities, he can't even be ranked medium. It can only be an auxiliary small ability. If Leho-shan wants to destroy the world, it should not be too simple. Although the power of the Dragon Ball world came to this chaotic and comprehensive Marvel world, it was deviated due to the power of the rules. But the difference is not too far. In the distance, Vegeta's 18,000 combat power in Dragon Ball can easily destroy the planet. The current Leho-shan can change into the second form of Super Saiyan 1. The strength is even more astonishing. Wanting to destroy the planet is just a matter of minutes. So there is no need to use the ability to deform light at all. That's right, just now, the progress of Leho-shan's inheritance has exceeded 13%. Unlock the second form of Super Saiyan Tier 1. But none of that matters, after all, in the chaotic, omnibus world of Marvel. As long as it reaches the Heavenly Father level, it is enough to destroy the Earth. Not to mention that reaching the level of a single universe can destroy a single universe. And on top of the single universe level, there are multiverse level, super universe level, and omnipotent universe. And multiple parallel universes. Therefore, it is not easy for the Earth to be strong until now. The three of them immediately walked towards the academy. How can I tell Scott about this? As soon as she entered the gate, Storm Girl felt a little heavy. Professor X not only regards Scott as his successor, but also wants Scott to take over his class. Even on weekdays, treat him like a child. But now Professor X is dead, and with the three of them following him. And the person who killed Professor X was Scott's favorite woman, Chin-Gree. So the Storm Girl didn't know whether Scott would bear this heavy blow. But the truth of the matter must be told to all the students after all. As a result, the entire Xavier Academy shook. All the mutant students were all excited. They can't introduce me to this truth. In their eyes, the omnipotent, powerful and knowledgeable principal would be killed. This matter, speaking of it. Seeing everyone's excited expressions, Storm Girl also took a deep breath. Suppressing the grief in his heart, he began to tell what happened. Except that there is no spiritual dialogue between Professor X and Leho-shan. Almost everything is out of the tray. Including Chin-Gree's second personality at the end, a monstrous resentment broke out. The terrible disintegration thought force directly disintegrated Professor X completely. No bones left. For a moment, everyone was shocked and hated again. Senior Chin, how can you treat the principal like this? Bah, she is not qualified to call a senior murderer. The professor died so badly. And Magneto, it's all their fault. Revenge. I will not forgive them. Unforgivable. The students all drank in a low voice, and many of their faces were full of grief and indignation. Deep in some people's hearts, a seed called hatred began to grow. This is what Professor X probably didn't expect. Storm and Logan watched this scene, but they couldn't speak. In their hearts, they also resented Chin a little bit. Especially Wolverine, even he felt a little regretful. I shouldn't have said such exaggerated things to the professor back then. Chin, maybe if you really let go at all, you should always keep a firm grip on it. She is really too dangerous. Lee, the professor is dead. Clarice also cried a little sadly. Don't worry, he will be resurrected. Leho-shan patted Clarice on the back. He couldn't bear to see the kind Clarice so sad. Really? Clarice raised her head, with big red eyes, and asked innocently. Of course it's true, when have I lied to you? Leho-shan said softly. Well, I believe you. Clariston nodded heavily. Although this may sound unbelievable, even whimsical. But as long as Leho-shan said it, she would believe it unconditionally. Cyclops didn't say a word, but his face was dark and scary. Anyone can see that he is absolutely extremely sad. Storm Girl wanted to speak to comfort her, but she didn't know what to say. The Wolverine Logan next to her patted her shoulder lightly and shook his head lightly. Scott gritted his teeth, stood up from his wheelchair, and then sat on the professor's wheelchair. Then, just like Professor X usually did, he came to the window and looked out the window quietly. I know everyone is very sad and angry, so we still have to cheer up. I don't think the professor wants to see us like this. Storm Girl looked at the painful crowd, took a deep breath, and said calmly. Now that Professor X is gone, she has to pull herself together. Otherwise, Xavier Academy will completely collapse. When everyone heard Storm Girl's words, they immediately restrained their emotions. Tomorrow we will prepare the funeral for the professor. I hope everyone will not be late. At the same time, a lot of people came to the town where the Qin family was located. There are firefighters, medical staff, beautiful Chinese police. There are also some agents in black costumes. These people went door to door, hoping to get some information from some of the remaining people. Sure enough, some people were hiding in the cellar far away from Qin's villa. This avoided the terrible aftermath of the battle. And through the news in their mouths, these black-clothed agents have some understanding. Some people with instruments came out of Qin's villa. The leader is a one-eyed bald man wearing a blindfold. This person is Nick, the head of S.H.I.E.L.D, a special department of the beautiful country. According to the instrument detection, the last person to leave should be Storm Warlow, Wolverine Logan, Magneto, Nightwalker, Arclight, Pyro, Hedgehog, Lizard, and a mutant who is not in the registration. At this time, a middle-aged man wearing a strange scientific instrument, holding a tablet-like instrument in his hand, said to Nick while scanning the data on it. "Conter, you mean the mutants who are no longer registered?" Nick's eyes froze for a moment. "Yes, look." The middle-aged Conter immediately handed the instrument in his hand to Nick. But at this moment, the person on the instrument is Leho. "I know this person." At this moment, Maria Hill next to her spoke. "Sil, do you know this black-haired boy?" Nick heard that and immediately looked at Hill. "Yes, Commissioner Nick." Hill nodded. "This black-haired boy, named Leho, is a Chinese from the East. It's Professor X Charles, a student we took in a few months ago. His parents can no longer be verified, they can only be regarded as orphans. After investigation, I have lived in 3 orphanages. Finally, a few months ago, the X gene suddenly awakened, giving birth to mutant abilities. So I was taken in by Charles. A few days ago, Charles reported to the National Defense that Leho has become a new X-Men. It's just that the information has not been sent to our S.H.I.E.L.D. Hill breathed out all the information he had learned about Leho. "What are his abilities?" Looking at the figure of Leho on the instrument, Nick asked in a little silence. According to Charles's report, he is a body-enhanced mutant. Hill recalled a moment and said, "Director Nick, you'd better take a look at this." At this moment, a person with the same equipment in his hand came over. "Fitz, what did you find there?" When Conter saw another person walking over, he couldn't help asking. "Yes, I have a big discovery." Fitz couldn't help exclaiming immediately. Everyone was suddenly a little curious, and it could be seen from Fitz's voice that the other party seemed surprised. Nick and the others immediately stepped forward. "Look." Fitz immediately handed the tablet-like instrument in his hand to everyone, and Nick took it. There are some pictures on it, which are the scene of the last collision between Leho and the red tank. This is the red tank that claims to be invincible once it takes action. A look of shock suddenly appeared on Hill's face. Yes, it proves that the burly man with the iron helmet is the red tank. He was released from the mobile prison a few days ago. According to the information we got, it was Magneto Eric who did it. This young man named Leho can be evenly matched with him. No, it's not as simple as an equal share. In the final collision, Leho obviously won. For a moment, everyone fell silent. They are clear about the power of red tanks. After all, the opponent's information has long been in S.H.I.E.L.D's database. Classified as an extremely powerful alpha and mutant. But I didn't expect that this young black-haired boy would be able to fight the opponent to this extent. Especially since he actually won in the end. It's incredible. Even for a powerful mutant like Magneto, if he wanted to deal with the red tank, he could only use his abilities to kill him before he could act. Once the red tank is running, its power is unimaginable. There are not many people who can stop him. Perhaps only the Hulk can hold his own, with sheer physical strength holding off a running red man. Didn't Charles's information say that this black-haired boy is a mutant with enhanced body abilities? But the other party obviously seems to have energy abilities. Nick said immediately, "We don't know that." Hill shook his head, but the shock in his eyes could not be calmed down for a long time. It seems that this is another mutant with the least alpha level. And it's an extremely high level one. Its potential level is higher than that of Red Tank, far above Cyclops and Storm Girl. Fitz spoke. Do you want to put it on the danger file? Hill asked in a low voice. Don't pay too much attention for now. Although Charles is dead, the original confidentiality agreement can be regarded as invalid. But with Charles's cunning and strength, I don't believe he has no backup. So wait and see. But, Hill, you go back and ask May to find a way to sneak into Xavier College and get in touch with this black-haired boy. After all, she is also of Chinese descent, so she may be able to communicate better. Nick thought for a moment and said, It is good. Hill nodded. But once Charles died, the strength of the X-Men dropped significantly. A few days ago Cyclops also seemed to be seriously injured, and he hasn't recovered yet. And Magneto took Chin away again, and his strength became stronger. It is very likely to cause chaos and disaster. Are we going to take action? Hill thought for a while before asking. Although Charles is dead, the confidentiality agreement can be regarded as invalid, but it seems that it is not appropriate to directly take action at present. As I said before, I always feel that this guy must not be that simple. He won't die so easily. So we're standing still for now, but you can talk to Trask Industries. If Magneto and the others really get out of control, then our confidentiality agreement with Charles will be officially invalidated. At that time, they can let their sentries take action. I also want to see if the Sentinels of Trask Industries are as powerful as they say. Nick thought for a while before speaking. If Charles is still alive, then the confidentiality agreement will naturally not expire. After all, the threat of Charles is still very huge, and there are many powerful beings in the world. But no one dared to underestimate Charles. But now that Charles is dead, then the group of people who participated in the non-disclosure agreement back then. Maybe it's time to move on. This doesn't bode well for Nick either. After all, in a sense, the X-Men are on the same side as the Aegis. They are all for the peace of the Earth. Everyone at Xavier College didn't know what happened here. The professor's funeral was solemnly held. All the students all wore black clothes and attended the funeral. In less than a day, Xavier College has undergone such a big change. Many people have grown a lot. Scott directly served as the new generation of principals. In fact, Storm Girl also proposed to choose Leho as a candidate. But it was rejected by Leho. How could such a salty person like him do such a troublesome thing as the principal? So Leho refused directly on the grounds of young age and poor experience. Since Leho refused, Storm and Wolverine didn't say much. After all, Scott is good enough to be the headmaster. Besides, the Storm also knew that Professor X had long intended for Scott to take over. Everything is going smooth. Xavier College has also entered a peaceful life again. A week passed in a blink of an eye, and no major incidents occurred in the college. And Magneto seemed to disappear suddenly. But Leho knew that that guy must be preparing some kind of plan. But these have nothing to do with Leho. He wants to become stronger now. At least the next time you encounter an opponent at the level of a red tank, you will be able to instantly kill him. After all, in this world, due to the rules, although he has a Super Saiyan transformation. But it is not as powerful as in the Dragon Ball world that can sweep everything. And the Super Saiyan transformation, he has just reached the Super Saiyan 1 stage, that's all. There is still so much potential to be developed. On the roof of the teaching building, Leho was lying on a mat, looking at the sky quietly. Next to Clarice and Alice, one is peeling apples, and the other is peeling melon seeds. The picture is warm and harmonious. Ding! Congratulations, Master, the power of rules has reached the set value. At this moment, the system's notification sounded. The set value has been reached. Leho's eyes suddenly brightened. Finally, I can try to see if I can get rid of the X-gene bug. It's something he's been wanting to do lately. Since his rule power is equivalent exchange. So is it possible to directly manifest the power of rules externally? In addition to slowly waiting for the power of the rules to recover by itself. You can also use the rules of this universe to restore its power of rules. After all of Leho's power comes from the X-gene. And the X-gene also comes from the rule power of this universe. So can we say, his power of rules actually belongs to a certain branch of the power of universe rules. In this way, wouldn't it be possible to absorb the power of rules as long as it is an equivalent exchange? Although this seems complicated, Leho feels that there is a lot to do. Thinking of this, he couldn't wait. If this experiment is successful, then Leho will be in the future. There is no need to wait for a little bit of self-recovery like the power of rules. Instead, it is possible to quickly restore the power of rules through some kind of equivalent exchange with others. For example, the task system he envisioned. Create. Thinking of this, Leho suddenly had a thought and started to get up. As for the creation system, it is already familiar with the road and is very familiar with it. Soon after he adjusted again and again and tried again and again, he finally succeeded. Ding! Almighty task system, create success. With the voice in Leho's mind, the new system was finally successfully created. Very good. Leho suddenly showed a smile on his face. In fact, Leho planned to create a you can release tasks at will, and set the reward system by yourself. But this rule has exceeded the upper limit of his rule power. Leho discovered it when he first created the system. Although the power of rules can create many systems, but the system must follow a premise. That is, it cannot exceed the upper limit of his X-gene ability. So, although he can create a system at will, but it doesn't mean that whatever system he wants to create, it will be successful. It is precisely because of this that every time Leho creates a system, all kinds of attempts must be made. Sometimes, although the most ideal state cannot be achieved, another method can be used to achieve similar results. It's like the system that Leho created earlier. In fact, it doesn't become stronger after exposure to the sun. Instead, the breathing becomes stronger, or the heartbeat becomes stronger. In this way, he can become stronger 24 hours a day, every hour, every second. But in this way, the upper limit of the X-gene is exceeded, and it cannot be created at all. That's why Leho took the next best thing, and chose the system that basks in the sun and becomes stronger. The result is easy to create. Almighty Mission System. A gratified smile suddenly appeared on Leho's face. It was just a possibility that he speculated, but he didn't think of it. Really created. Lee, what are you laughing at? At this moment, Clarice, who had finished peeling the apple, looked over curiously. Clarice cut the apple into small pieces, inserted a toothpick, and handed it to Leho. I thought of something happy, so I laughed. Leho picked up the toothpick and ate a small piece of apple, and said with a smile, "What are you happy about?" When Clarice heard what Leho said, a curious look appeared on her face. "Isn't it a pleasure to have you and Alice by my side?" Leho spoke immediately. Hate. Clarice blushed immediately when she heard the words, and quickly covered her face with her hands. But the body arched towards Leho. Alice next to her didn't speak, but there was a smile on her face. She likes the day in front of her very much and is also very satisfied. It was so different from when she was imprisoned in the Mutant Research Institute. It can even be said that one day and one place are completely different. At that time, she never thought that one day she would have the life in front of her eyes. This was simply a luxury for her before, but now it actually appeared in front of her eyes, which Alice cherished very much. And it was the man in front of him who brought all of this. Clarice and Alice, is there anything you two are eager to do? Leho asked suddenly. Alice didn't speak, just shook her head. For her, as long as she stays by Leho's side, it is already her greatest wish. She doesn't expect anything else. I don't have anything I want to do too much. I feel very happy to be with you and Sister Alice every day. Clarice also nodded seriously. Quote. Leho was speechless when he heard the words. This is Clarice and Alice, two daughters, although this is very good. But in this way, he has no way to try the effect of the new system. All right, let's go and eat. Leho looked at the sky. It was almost noon. He got up involuntarily, and walked down from the rooftop with the two girls. Soon the three of them came to the cafeteria, skillfully ordered some fast food that the three of them often ate, and ate it simply. Lee, Teacher Orlo told you to go to the office. At this moment, a senior mutant student walked over. Are you asking me to go to Mr. Orlo's office? Leho's eyes lit up immediately. He raised his head to look at the student and said with a smile, Yes, the senior student was taken aback for a moment, and quickly nodded to answer. It was indeed Orlo the Storm who asked Leho to go to the office, not his nonsense. Okay, your request, I agree. Leho nodded, immediately got up and said to the two women. Eat first, I'll go. After speaking, Leho walked towards Orlo's office. Ding. Congratulations, Master, you have completed Steltag's request and obtained the source plus 0.01%. At this moment, a mechanical prompt sounded in Leho's mind. This is the sound of the system completing the task. Sure enough, Leho's face immediately beamed with joy. He immediately opened the properties and glanced at the panel. Host, Leho. Lifespan, 101 years. Origin, power of rules 0.01%. Strength, 149 tons. Spirit, 595 3 for normal people. Physical strength, 59 12 10 for ordinary people. Speed, 499 meters per second. System space, cube, possessed systems, spiritual shielding system, sunning to become stronger system, god level inheritance system, super battle space system, and all-round mission system. Sure enough, it has already been consumed, and the original source, which should be 0, has increased by 0.01%. Leho immediately showed a look of satisfaction. The creation system this time. Perfect success. Although the source of the reward is a little less, it doesn't matter. After all, this is just the simplest task. If it is the next time, there will be a requirement to fight against red tanks. I'm afraid it can directly increase the double-digit percentage. Leho secretly thought in his heart. In this all-round mission system, the more outrageous the promised request, the more difficult it is to realize. The more sources you get. Suddenly looking forward to the mission of the X-Men. Leho secretly thought in his heart. Soon Leho came to the office. He looked around and found that Wolverine Logan, Cyclops Scott, Storm Girl Orlo, Iceman Bobby, Phantom Cat Kitty and others were all in the office. Well, it's quite lively, Leho said with a smile, and then found a place to sit down. But most of the people fell silent. This made Leho a little curious. Even Bobby the Iceman, who was always talkative, was silent. Did something happen again? Seeing the scene in front of him, Leho frowned slightly. Although the death of Professor X made everyone a little bit distraught and depressed. But after all, this matter is over. These days everyone has returned to normal life. Why are they so silent at this moment? It looks like something isn't quite right. Everyone, have you considered it? At this moment, a blue fur ball came in from the outside. It was Hank. After he came in, when he saw Leho, his eyebrows and eyelids twitched. After Hank was bullied by Leho last time, he had a deep impression on this young mutant. In Hank's view, Leho is the thorn in the side of Xavier College. However, there is no need for him to have too many disputes with Leho. I don't know, how about you? At this moment, Phantom Cat Kitty said in a somewhat depressed voice. She raised her head slowly, her nose was sore and a little sad, and she looked around. Then he went straight to Leho's side and sat down. He didn't say much, just leaned lightly on his shoulder like that. The question was too heavy for her to answer. Mr. Orlo, like Katie, I feel that life seems to have no direction. Iceman Bobby said. When the professor first died, they were just heavy and demoralized. But what is before them now is another difficult choice. Hank, in what capacity are you asking this question? Storm Girl said slowly. I am the Minister of Mutant Affairs. Hearing Storm's words, Hank was stunned for a moment, but after thinking for a while, he still spoke seriously. Although Hank is no longer at Xavier College. But in essence, he and Professor X have the same ideals. They both hope that humans and mutants will coexist. It's just that the way the two people choose is completely different. His current status is the Minister of Mutant Affairs, which means that his purpose of coming to Xavier Academy is also to become the Master. Then please leave first, this is our Xavier Academy's business. Storm Girl said in a deep voice. She already knew the purpose of the other party's visit, but this only made the students more upset. Orlo, you should know. Charles is gone, so without his deterrence, Xavier College cannot last long. Many people are staring at this place. Even if students stay here, what's the use of it? It will only put them in danger. Instead of doing this, it is better to let them go home. Anyway, now the antidote for mutants has appeared. As long as the mutant antidote is taken, the students will return to normal, no different from ordinary people. This is the safest way. Do you really want to see the students facing danger, being divided up and disintegrated by various forces, and regret it? I believe that even if Charles is alive, he would not want to see this scene. Although I understand that this academy is Charles's painstaking effort, you are not willing to give up just like that. But that's the only way to be safe. Students don't have to repeat the same mistakes and face those horrible memories. Hank said immediately. But, have you ever thought that these children are already homeless? What's the difference if you let them leave the school and let them die? The Storm Girl said suddenly. Scott, what do you mean? Hank asked Cyclops, who was sitting in front of the window, who was silent. I have no idea. Although Scott has served as the principal, he is even more confused now. It can be said that among the people present, he was the most directionless person. The person I love the most, killed the most respected teacher. Cyclops' heart is really about to collapse. In the entire Xavier school, everyone gradually walked out of the shadow of Professor X's death. But only Scott is still deeply trapped in it, unable to extricate himself. Did you come here to persuade Teacher Orlo and the others to close the academy? Leho spoke immediately. He finally figured out the reason why these people had such a bitter face. If Xavier College is closed, many people will be homeless. It also includes him, Clarice, and Alice. Although Leho can also rent a house, or even buy a small farm in the suburbs. While enjoying a better life as a farmer, slowly accumulate strength and become stronger. But he is still relatively lazy and nostalgic. Therefore, there is no plan to change places yet. This blue hairball came to persuade Stormgirl and others to close the academy, which made Leho a little upset. Not bad. If Xavier Academy continues to open, I'm afraid it will be very troublesome, and the students are not safe. Hank said immediately. Ha ha. Closing down the academy and taking the antidote for mutants, will it be safe? Leho suddenly laughed. That's right. Hank nodded, and answered seriously. His goal is to enable ordinary people and mutants to coexist peacefully. This is the ideal that came together with Charles in the first place. Although the two have chosen different paths, they can be regarded as parting ways. But the ultimate ideal has not changed. Now the opportunity came, that's why Hank worked so hard. Because once a mutant takes the mutant antidote, he can become a member of ordinary people. In this way, wouldn't all the problems be solved? How stupid. Leho's expression became indifferent. Hank is not an ordinary person, not only a mutant, but also a scientist. But he can't even see through this. Is it really the mutants themselves that normal people are afraid of? In the face of such a high IQ, but paranoid person, any explanation and argument are useless. Blue Furball, I need you to bring a message to the president of the beautiful country. Leho said suddenly. What? Hank frowned suddenly, but still asked seriously. What are you talking about? I'll talk about it later. Before I speak, I'll show you something. Leho suddenly laughed. Look at what? Hank became more and more confused. You'll know right away. Leho did not answer Hank directly, but looked at another large window in the office. He walked to the window and slowly raised his hand. Chi. Next moment, the terrifying shock wave of the tortoise began to gather in his hands. This is. Hank's face suddenly changed. The energy beam in Leho's hand emits energy that is definitely not weaker than Cyclops Scott's laser beam. And it seems that the other party's manipulation is far more powerful than Cyclops. What is he going to do? Seeing this scene, Hank's heart suddenly jumped, as if something terrible was about to happen. Boom. Just when Hank was confused and uneasy, suddenly a blue light beam as thick as a water tank shot out from Leho's hand. The terrifying light beam shockwave is far faster than the Blackbird fighter. Wherever they passed, a gully several meters wide and several meters deep appeared. Lee, what is he going to do? Is he going to destroy the school? No, the attack missed the school. This terrible attack, what to do? Plum. For a moment, everyone was puzzled. Hank was even more confused, with a suspicious look on his face. But for some reason, the uneasiness in my heart became more serious. Chi. The terrifying blue beam of light pierced through the sky and disappeared. What exactly do you want to do? Hank became more and more uneasy. Everyone had some doubts and didn't understand what Leho was doing. But the opponent kept releasing powerful energy attacks, and Storm Girl and the others didn't dare to disturb them. After a while, the corner of Leho's mouth curled up, and he flew out of the window immediately. Go and see. What the hell is Leho doing? What did he say? Everyone was taken aback for a moment, and hurriedly followed. Although Hank looked suspicious, he also followed. Leho was suspended in midair, looking at the sky of the academy. Boom! Next moment, suddenly, a terrifying wave of white air erupted from his body. In an instant, Leho raised his general chi to the maximum level under normal conditions. This made everyone even more confused. Whoosh! Just when everyone was wondering, a light spot suddenly appeared in the distant sky. Then it grew bigger and bigger, and gradually turned into a terrifying energy light wave with a diameter of more than 10 meters. Especially the big blue ball of light on the strongest side, with terrifying destructive power. That is, could it be? Impossible. The moment they saw the blue ball of light, everyone was shocked. Even Hank was sweating profusely on his forehead, a little unbelievable. Could this be the energy attack released by Leho just now? In an instant, this possibility flashed through everyone's minds. But after thinking about it, it seems impossible. Whoosh! At this moment, a terrifying attack hit Leho's body instantly. The destructive power of the full-power turtle shockwave is absolutely powerful. The original Turtle Immortal had only a combat power of about 100, and he could destroy the moon by using the full-power turtle shockwave. It can be seen from this that the tortoise shockwave is powerful. Therefore, even Leho had to be on the defensive. Hoo. In an instant, a terrifying shockwave exploded around Ron with Ron as the center. A lot of smoke filled the surroundings. A small mushroom cloud spread out over Ron's place. The entire Xavier Academy suddenly shone with dazzling light. All the students were attracted by the violent explosion and light. They couldn't help rushing out one after another, looking at Leho in the sky. His eyes were full of shock. Some people didn't understand what happened, so they covered their mouths one after another, while others hugged their heads and faces with a little panic. Plum, Clarice and Alice also rushed out. Seeing Leho in the sky being attacked, he immediately became nervous. Who is it? Especially Alice's complexion changed. Thinking that someone was attacking Leho, he wished he could rush up immediately. But soon she discovered that this energy attribute seemed to be very close to Leho himself. For a moment, a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. I don't understand why Leho's attack will attack him. After a while, the smoke dissipated. Hey, this Kamepai Qigong is really strong enough. Leho smiled and shook his head. Turtle School Qigong is also called Shengui Shockwave, and it is the Qigong that the Earth Turtle Immortal School is good at. Although the attacks of energy waves are ever-changing, Kamehameha Qigong is definitely one of the most powerful. It can gather Qi in an instant and increase its power several times. In Dragon Ball Z, when Raditz first came to Earth, Kakarot's combat power is only over 300, but after using the Turtle Shockwave, the combat power in an instant reached about 1000. It can also be seen from here that the tortoise is powerful. Throughout the early and mid-term of Dragon Ball, only the attack methods of the Earth genre can increase Qi. Most cosmic beings, even the Saiyans at the beginning, don't hide their Kai. It is even more impossible to instantly increase the power of Qigong. However, Vegeta comprehended it quickly, so he created a trick that was not weaker than the shock wave of the turtle, finally flashed. Its power is even greater. Hank, you can go back now, and turn on the TV to watch the news. After you finish reading, remember to send a message to the president of the beautiful country for me. As long as I, Leho, are still here, Xavier Academy will not be closed. If something goes wrong in the academy, I might not be happy. Then what happened just now is not that simple. Those who want to use the Taste Academy, do it yourself. Leho said calmly. Hank was stunned when he heard Leho's words, and he didn't quite understand. What does the other party mean? Go back and turn on the TV and watch the news to find out. Leho didn't give too much explanation to Hank, but just spoke plainly. Okay, I get it. Hank was a little puzzled, but the curiosity in his heart became more intense. He really wanted to know what Leho did just now. So no longer persuade Stormgirl and others to close Xavier Academy, but leave here quickly. Not long after, he returned to the White House. Hank, how is your work going? The president of the beautiful country asked with some doubts when he saw Hank coming back. Mr. President, we will talk about this matter later. Hank immediately walked to the TV hanging on the wall next to the president, and turned it on. He was very concerned about what Leho said just now. This is New York TV station. I'm reporter Peter Shion. Just now, there was an attack from unknown energy that penetrated the entire New York City. This is Houston Entertainment News. I am your sweetie. The attack just now was very terrifying. Some experts speculate that it was an attack by aliens. This is Mexico City. I am your good friend Dashin. Aliens are going to attack the Earth, just now. This is Manaus, our city, completely destroyed, that's. Here is. With one news report after another on TV, Hank's face became more and more serious. My God, how on earth did he do that? A look of shock suddenly appeared on Hank's face, and he muttered to himself. What exactly is going on? The president of the beautiful country suddenly came over with a face full of bewilderment. Dazed, not understanding what happened. But Hank was alone in shock, without explaining to him. I became anxious for a while. Mr. President, it seems that the task you entrusted to me cannot be done. Hank took a deep breath, suppressed the shock in his heart, and then looked at the president of the beautiful country and said, What do you mean? The president of the beautiful country asked in confusion. Someone asked me to tell you a message, President, you don't want the beautiful country to be like this. Quote. The president was taken aback for a moment. Hank, do you know what you're talking about? President, the thing is. After Hank finished speaking what Leho had brought to the president. Only then did he tell the other party. Xavier College. Lee, what happened just now? Iceman Bobby looked at Leho who was sitting on the sofa and drinking coffee in shock and asked. The others didn't speak, but all looked at Leho. Everyone's eyes were filled with astonishment, but most of them still had doubts. The attack just now was definitely very powerful, except for a few people present. Others can't even afford it. But even those who can bear it, there is no way to be as unscathed as Leho. But this is not the main thing. The important thing is Leho, the reason for doing this. They still don't quite understand what Leho did and why. I didn't do anything, I just gave the Earth a middle score. Leho said with a smile. Quote. As soon as these words came out, everyone was taken aback. What do you mean? Clarice, you go and turn on the TV. Leho took a sip of coffee with a smile, and said to Clarice who was helping him peel apples. Clarice nodded, stepped forward and turned on the TV. Immediately, the news began to broadcast on TV. There is no doubt that the content of the news is all related to the sudden mysterious attack just now. From here, I release energy waves to circle the Earth and help the Earth to comb the middle. Leho said with a smile. Suck. Finally, everyone understood, with shocked expressions on their faces. Although your energy wave looks similar to the power of Scott's Cyclops. But he definitely can't release the energy of Cyclops that far. Stormgirl couldn't help but said in shock. Scott, what's the furthest distance your Cyclops can go? Logan next to him couldn't help asking. If you release it with all your strength, it will be about 100 kilometers. Hearing Logan's question, Scott spoke. Really? Leho couldn't help but sighed secretly when he heard the words. The main tone of this world is still the character setting in the film and television drama. Otherwise, take the setting of Cyclops in Marvel Comics. The opponent can easily pass through the planet, how could it be only over 100 kilometers? However, he has long discovered that this world is under the comics and above the film and television dramas. A state in the middle. This is a good thing for Leho. Otherwise, according to the setting in the comics, the enemies are numerous and strong. It is simply very troublesome. Lee, I didn't expect your energy attack to be so powerful. Iceman Bobby couldn't help but said in shock. But why would you do that? Phantom Cat Kitty asked curiously. Because Hank was right. The death of the professor will make the forces that have been eyeing Xavier College become eye-catching. I shouldn't have told you about this matter, but I think it's better to say it. Storm glanced at Logan and Leho, and saw that they nodded their heads before speaking. So Storm quickly told them what Professor X had told them about the 98 confidentiality agreement. Only then did everyone know that the professor had done so many things invisibly. And I didn't expect that there are powerful humans in this world who are no worse than mutants. If it wasn't for Professor X's strength, he could even destroy mutants. Lee, the reason for doing this is to deter those people. Let those forces that are about to move because the professor is gone understand. Xavier Academy is not losing its power. Without professors, we are still strong. When Storm said this, she was a little emotional. Obviously, even she didn't think of this just now. But he didn't expect that Wolverine, Scott, and Iceman were among them. The youngest Leho thought of this question. And it also showed a powerful force in front of Hank to deter the officials of the beautiful country. In one fell swoop, it attracted the attention of all human beings. Presumably, those who have different ideas about Xavier College must be cautious now. Because of Xavier College, even without Professor X, it is still not so easy to deal with. If you want to take action against S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy, you have to seriously consider the consequences. Okay, what the school should do and what to do. The professor doesn't want us to mess up the school when he's not around. I live very comfortably here, and I don't want to change places for the time being. Leho immediately stretched his waist and said. He looked at the sky, and now is a good time to bask in the sun. Don't let this great sunshine go to waste. Immediately took Clarice and Alice and left the office. Lee, that's right, we can't let the academy mess up. The teacher is gone, but we X-Men are still there. Xavier College is still a shelter and a haven for the homeless children. Storm Girl said in a deep voice. Then, with Bobby, Logan, Scott and others, they began to replan the college's schedule. This decision was also conveyed to every student instantly. They immediately reveled and relaxed. The originally tense atmosphere in the academy gradually calmed down. For a while, the academy returned to its previous state. For Leho, basking in the sun to enhance his strength is the main thing. This is an increase in overall strength. It can even speed up the speed at which templates inherit power. And the cleaning department of Xavier College. A woman cautiously looked around before taking out a tiny satellite phone. Beep. Soon a call came through. Nick, it's me, May. This person is Melinda May, an agent sent by S.H.I.E.L.D. to undercover Xavier Academy. What's the matter? Hurry up and say, I'm busy dealing with the mysterious energy attack. The voice of Nick, director of S.H.I.E.L.D., came on the phone. I know about this. Maiden immediately reported what she saw at Xavier Academy in a complete manner. Continue to monitor. After a long time, Nick spoke. Yes. After hanging up the phone, May continued to return to work and went to the toilet to clean. Nick from S.H.I.E.L.D. fell into deep thought. Hill, ask the people from Trask Industries to suspend the Sentinel project first. Then go collect information about Leho for me. After a while, Nick spoke slowly. A few days later. Leho and others are eating breakfast in the cafeteria. Let me be a teacher. Puff. Leho, who just took a sip of Coke, couldn't help but spit it out. Logan on the opposite side had no time to dodge, and was sprayed all over his face. Quote. Logan doesn't care about bullets or even energy waves. But he didn't expect that Leho sprayed Coke. Sorry, I'm a professional, and I don't usually spray. Leho said immediately, and Clarice next to him quickly wiped his mouth with a tissue. Unless you can't help it. Quote. Wolverine reluctantly took out a tissue and wiped his face. Although this stuff is delicious, but it is sticky when sprayed on the face. Ha ha. Seeing Logan like this, Leho smiled. But are you serious? Seeing that it was almost done, Leho took a deep breath and stopped joking. He looked at Wolverine Logan seriously. After all, he is still a student now, and he hasn't even been in school for a long time. As a result, Wolverine now tells Leho to let him be a teacher. So Leho didn't stop it for a while before, and couldn't help spraying it out. But now he calmed down, Leho couldn't help asking seriously. In fact, with his strength, it is indeed no problem to be a teacher. Yes, Orlo, Scott, the three of us have considered it, and your strength is enough to be the teacher of the academy. Wolverine nodded. And don't you worry about not being paid. While the professor is no longer there, the academy is funded by Charles's family company. Don't worry about not having any income, the college has already had a dedicated professional manager to operate it. So even though he's not there, the foundation continues to operate. The college has a fixed income every month. And these incomes are the daily expenses of the entire college, as well as teachers' salaries and so on. Even the mission funds for every X-Men dispatch are distributed here. Luo Zhen was afraid that Leho would have no money to accept him, so he refused to become a teacher. So I quickly explained it. But when it comes to this, he also admires Charles from the bottom of his heart. Although he is much older than Charles, he has to be admired. The other party had already run the company well and established a fund. This is something Wolverine can't match. Unlike him, who lived to such a great age. He even experienced World War I and World War II, but in the end he was alone and poor. Okay, I promise you. Leho no longer refuses upon hearing this. Anyway, it's good to be a student, and of course a teacher, for him. There is not much difference. Now he just basks in the sun, eats, and sleeps every day, which can be regarded as 3 points and 1 line. Now I only take out a little time to go to class occasionally, but it doesn't affect anything. And as a teacher, the request will be more. Ding. Congratulations, Master, you have completed Wolverine's request and obtained the Origin plus 1.5%. At this moment, the source of the system rewards was instantly in place. Not bad. Leho nodded in satisfaction immediately. This is the main reason why he promised Logan to become a teacher. You can harvest the origin points and restore the power of rules. He can't wait to start the next inheritance template. Even the candidate, he has already decided. Well, the new course schedule, I will send it to you later. Logan nodded with a smile. As long as Leho agrees, his mission will be considered complete. This also explains something to Storm Girl and the others. Lee, do you really want to be a teacher? Clarice said curiously. Call the teacher to listen. Leho raised his eyebrows immediately, and said with a smile. Hello, Teacher Lee, Clarice said sweetly immediately. That's right, remember to wear your school uniform next time. A smirk suddenly appeared on Leho's face. Hate. Clarice blushed instantly. Hey, can you pay attention to the occasion? I just fell out of love. At this time, Bobby the Iceman next to him couldn't help complaining. 2 days ago, the Rakshasa girl Anna still couldn't bear the temptation of the mutant's antidote. In the end, she left Xavier College, which was her own choice. Anna wanted to live an ordinary life, so Storm Girl and the others did not stop her. Even if they are very heartbroken. After all, Rakshasa has been with them for a long time and is also a member of the X-Men. Unexpectedly, in the end, the other party chose to take the mutant antidote and become an ordinary person. That is, when we are rare. Katie, the phantom cat next to her, also pouted angrily. Especially the gaze towards Clarice, with a smell of lemon. Boom. At this moment, there was a loud noise on the TV. Leho and others looked up. I saw countless people holding signs and shouting on the streets of the largest city in the beautiful country. Abolish the antidote. Protest. Protest. We are not sick. We are normal and don't need medical treatment at all. These are all mutants. Although they are not strong, they are numerous. While holding signs to protest, they rushed towards Worthington Experimental Company. When the policemen in the beautiful country saw this situation, they panicked. I don't know who fired the first shot, and the more chaos began. Although these ordinary mutants are not strong, they are all very crazy. Some used their abilities to break through the police blockade, and some even rushed into the company with a bomb in their arms. All of a sudden, the scene was chaotic, and there were endless explosions. The Worthington Company suffered serious damage. And all of this was broadcast live by several reporters around. Several news channels reported frantically. As a result, the ratings of these TV stations have skyrocketed and doubled. Those reporters frantically shifted the camera without fear of life and death, trying to broadcast all this live. Gradually, a man slowly floated down from the sky. Hi everyone, my name is Eric. Maybe many of you have never heard of this name. But never mind, I have another name. Magnetic King. Eric immediately opened his arms and said with aura. Boom boom boom. As Magneto opened his mouth, all the surrounding metal products, metal buildings, utility poles, fire tanks, etc. suddenly bounced away as if they had received a terrible thrust. In an instant, where Magneto was, he was the only one left. Everything around was almost pushed away. At this time, behind him, dozens of mutants suddenly walked out. And the few people in the lead are Nightwalker, Arclight, Red Tank and others. I'm going to tell you all, mutants are not sick. There is no need for treatment. And you are the ones who are really sick. Weakness is sickness and sin. From this moment on, as long as the mutant potion is still there, you are the enemy of all our mutants. We will use our strength to maintain our dignity. All mutant brothers, if you don't want to hide in the sewer like a mouse, or humbled to become a guinea pig in the laboratory, then come with me and fight for your own rights. We are invincible. When Magneto said this, he waved to the side, and suddenly a figure appeared in the video. It was Chin, who was taken away by Magneto after killing the professor and falling into chaos. Chapter 91. As soon as she came out, she waved her hand casually. Boom. In an instant, a tall building with hundreds of floors and a height of several hundred meters was directly reduced to ashes. Unbeatable, 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 the mutants behind Magneto suddenly roared. As long as the mutant antidote is still there, this battle will not end. With the end of Magneto's speech, the news screen came to an abrupt end. Apparently, those reporters who were broadcasting the live broadcast were very likely to be in some danger. How could this be? Iceman Bobby said in shock. Magneto, fool, what exactly is he going to do? What is he going to do? Kitty the Phantom Cat couldn't help but yelled angrily. You are indeed here. Orlo told you to go over and discuss things. At this time, Colossus came over and said. Everyone got up immediately and walked towards the office in the teaching building. As soon as he entered the room, he saw Storm just turning off the TV. And Wolverine and Cyclops are all there. You were eating in the cafeteria just now, you have read all the news. Storm Girl said in a deep voice. Magneto, that fool, is simply too much. Iceman Bobby said helplessly. It's disgusting. Katie also said. That guy just killed the professor, and then came to make trouble again, making the X-Men people itch with hatred. But no one mentioned this much. It's just that I'm a little annoyed. Eric, this guy, don't call him Magneto, change his name to Trouble King. What advice do you have? Storm Maiden Orlo looked at the crowd immediately, and asked after a moment of pondering. After all, according to the professor's confidentiality agreement, the matter of the mutants was resolved by the X-Men. Now Magneto is obviously doing something, which already involves their responsibility. That guy Eric, he won't stop until he reaches his goal. If he continues like this, more people will die. We shouldn't let him go on like this. Kitty the Phantom Cat spoke first. Katie is right, we should take action. Wolverine Logan nodded. The others were silent for a while, as if they were thinking about the suggestions of Phantom Cat and Wolverine. If Magneto continues to make trouble like this, will the strong human beings who signed the agreement with the professor back then take action? At this time, Bobby the Iceman asked with some doubts. The non-disclosure agreement was signed by the professor and them. Now that the professor is gone, it's hard to say whether they will abide by this agreement. Wolverine Logan shook his head and said. But the point is, even if we attack now, we can't stop them. Eric's side is not weak in itself, and there are many mutants around him now. The most important thing is that Chin is over there. Storm Maiden Orlo said with a solemn expression. Chin. At the mention of this name, the silent Scott's face changed again and again. And Scott's current state is not very good. For a while, everyone fell silent. Although these words sound harsh, they are the naked reality. The gap between the two sides is not small. Lee, what do you think of this matter? At this moment, Stormy Orlo looked at Leho and asked. The others also looked at Leho instantly. Obviously they also wanted to see if Leho had any ideas. After all, in terms of strength, the current Leho can be said to be the strongest among the X-Men. Even without the existence of Leho, the current Xavier College would not exist. It is very likely that it has been temporarily disbanded. This matter was created by Magneto, and almost all mutants participated. So according to the non-disclosure agreement signed between the professor and the top human powerhouse, we X-Men are bound to do so. But now that the professor is gone, we have no way to accurately find those mutants. What's more, Principal Scott's current appearance is not suitable for fighting. It can be said that the X-Men are in the most bleak state now, and it is not suitable for immediate confrontation. I think it is the safest thing to respond to all changes with the same. Leho suddenly said calmly. His current power of original rules has not yet accumulated the required set value. Although this does not affect his strength, it is Leho's vision. Once he creates the next successor character, he may be able to deal with the Phoenix power in Chin's body. It will make Leho take the initiative very much instead of being so passive. After all, he now understands that there is a gap between the rules of the two universes. The specific difference cannot be calculated, but after all, the Dragon Ball universe seems to be weaker than the Marvel universe. Otherwise, in his first Super Saiyan form, even if he has just reached the second stage, it is definitely not comparable to Chin. What's more, he still has the template of Majin Buu now. However, Chin is also a single universe grade after all. Even with all the Phoenix Force erupting, it can even reach the multiverse level. And Leho is already considered very strong if he can play on par with Chin. From the side, there is a gap between the Dragon Ball universe and the Marvel universe, but not much. After all, Kakarot's Super 1 form, Fat Demon Buu's form, there are too many existences stronger than them in the Dragon Ball world. Just in Dragon Ball Super's Tournament of Power, which of those people didn't beat Xiaoyi and the former Fat Buu? But there are not so many people who are stronger than Chin's Phoenix power. So the starting point between the two is different. But when my third character template is created, I can take some initiative. Leho secretly thought in his heart. So there is still a little time for now. Stopping with stillness and responding to all changes with the same as Leho's thinking at this time. I agree, Lee, you're right, I also think this is the safest way. I listen to you. For a while, everyone expressed their opinions. Then let's follow Teacher Lee's opinion for the time being. On the official side of the beautiful country, Scott and I will push the ball with them temporarily. Storm immediately made a decision and spoke slowly. This matter came to an end temporarily, and everyone dispersed. Leho immediately took Clarice and Alice to the rooftop to bask in the sun. He already felt that his body seemed to be strengthened to a certain limit recently. Suddenly there is a kind of vague boundary or bottleneck, restriction or something like that. It seems that after a while, you can break through this boundary and have stronger power. In this way, Leho was a little curious, and at the same time vaguely looked forward to it. Because all of Leho's power comes from the X gene. And Leho has a feeling. As long as he breaks through this boundary or bottleneck, everything in his body will become stronger again. Including the X gene. This will improve all his abilities, and his mutant abilities will also become stronger. At that time, you can have more powerful rules and create a more powerful system. After all, Leho's creation system now has certain limits. Maybe wait until Leho's body breaks through that boundary. Then the system created by the power of rules will also break through that boundary. Boom boom boom. Terrifying energy waves are flying all over the sky. Turtle School Qigong. Leho suddenly blasted out a terrifying blue light beam. A powerful shock wave burst out, instantly shining around. But the person opposite had a pink shield flashing all over his body. Instantly blocked the Kamepai Qigong. And then the next moment, with an even more terrifying aura, the other party suddenly pushed Kamehei Qigong back. Boom! A terrifying explosion spread all around in an instant. Half of Leho's body was smashed to pieces. But before Leho recovered, a large purple-red air bomb roared towards him. Puff puff. In an instant, Leho was beaten until there was not even ashes left. Convex Sao Pan Sao. Clarice, who was peeling chestnuts for Leho, turned her head suspiciously when she heard Leho's shout. He found that Leho was rubbing his head speechlessly. Alice walked to Leho's side, and gently placed her slender fingers on her temples. Slowly moving up and down, rotating left and right, 3 light and 1 heavy, helping Leho knead very carefully. Lee, are you okay? Clarice came over and asked with some concern. Fine, it was just blown away by me who was twice as strong. Leho narrowed his eyes immediately, enjoying Alice's relaxation. Cuckoo. When Clarice heard this, she suddenly laughed secretly. Clarice also knew about Leho's super battle space. And sometimes, Leho will bring Clarice and Alice into the battle space to fight among the three. On the one hand, they are familiar with each other's strengths, and on the other hand, they cultivate feelings. Twice as much as you are, is it really hard to beat? After a while, Clarice asked curiously. Do you want to try it? The corner of Leho's mouth turned up suddenly, and he showed a smirk, and asked. Isn't it twice your own strength? Try it. Clarice spoke immediately. His eyes were full of eagerness to try. It is good. Leho immediately brought Clarice into the combat space. 5 seconds later, Clarice came out wilted like a frost-beaten eggplant. Ha ha ha. Now at this scene, Leho couldn't help laughing. Alice, would you like to try? Leho immediately looked at Alice beside him, and couldn't help asking. He really wanted to see how Alice was defeated by Double Alice. I'm not going to blame myself. Alice shook her head. She is very clear that Leho's battle space can be the tester's person. Unleash all power. This shows that the enemy you have to face is your peak self. Not to mention being twice yourself, even if you were twice yourself, it would be very difficult to defeat. After all, it is difficult for ordinary people to develop their strength to the peak. Unless it is the kind of master who has practiced for decades, he has already fully grasped his strength. Otherwise, just like Leho, he can only frantically fight against his peak self. Being killed again and again, feeling the power of the peak again and again. As well as breaking through in kills and fights. In this way, to flatten the traces of the years. Otherwise, it is not so easy to easily reach your peak state. Sister Alice is smarter. Clarice suddenly looked bitter. I couldn't help but muttered in my heart. I was really deceived by Lard just now, why do I have to find fault for myself? Clarice, who is twice as strong, is simply terrifyingly strong. The second generation of Clarice, the mastery of mutant abilities is far beyond what Clarice can match. Even Clarice didn't expect that her mutant ability could be so practical. Ding! Congratulations, Master, the power of rules has reached the set value. At this moment, suddenly, in Leho's mind, a system notification sounded. Finally reached the set value. Leho was overjoyed when he heard the words. In this way, he can create a third inheritance template character. And Leho decided to create the third template character. It is the god of destruction in the world of Dragon Ball. Beerus. Although Leho can choose anyone in the heavens and worlds to create. But for him, there are still a few things to pay attention to when creating. The first one is not to be too wasteful. For example, the character template of One Piece world, even if it is created, is not very useful. It can't be that people can already destroy stars and universes, and you are still using the island-destroying combat power there. The second is that you can't be too invincible. For example, if Quan Wong raises his hand, the universe will be destroyed. This strength can definitely reach the existence of the almighty universe in the Marvel universe. However, a template of this level cannot be created with Leho's current god-level inheritance system. And Leho speculates that this is likely to be the upper limit of his X gene, which has not yet reached the level of the almighty universe. But there is one thing, Leho is clear. That is the character template he created now, which has surpassed the single universe and reached the multiverse. Therefore, Leho's X gene level is the least, and it has also reached the multiverse level. As for whether it can become stronger again, it is still unknown to reach the super universe level. However, Leho also sensed the existence of a body limiter before. It seems that he only needs a little more, and he can break through a certain limit and become stronger. Maybe when the time comes, his X gene will be awakened for the second time. Although Professor X and others thought that Leho's acquisition of so many abilities was a secondary mutation of the X gene. But in fact, only Leho knows. The X gene in his body has not mutated at all. Always in its original form. All the abilities come from the system created by his X gene. But this time Leho guessed that if he really broke some kind of restriction that existed in the dark. It is very possible that the X gene will really awaken and mutate again. Will it be possible to reach the super cosmic level by then, or even the legendary almighty cosmic level? It's really hard to say, but it's very likely. But now is not the time to think about these things, it is important to create character templates first. Create. Leho breathed a sigh of relief, and immediately began to create character templates with ease. The strength of Beerus, the god of destruction, should be equivalent to Monkey King at the peak of Shaolin. And the final state of perfect and free ultimate intention surpassed the god of destruction Beerus. During the power conference, Beerus once asked Weiss a word. Has he really reached that level? Weiss answer, yes. Even at that moment, all the gods of destruction in the universe stood up one after another, looking at Monkey King in shock. Because none of them reached that level. So although Kakarot's current template is not as good as the god of destruction template he is about to establish. But Leho has confidence in Monkey King, this is a character with a very high upper limit. And he believes that the perfect Sun Wukong is definitely not the limit of the pure monkey. Soon the template of God of Destruction Beerus was created. After all, he has already created 2 inheritance templates. So very skilled, hope you don't let me down. Leho opened Beerus' inheritance template with some expectation. Excited to watch. Swish. I saw a 3rd template appeared on his God level inheritance system template. God level inheritance system template 3. Character. Beerus. Race. God of Destruction. Progress. 9%. Abilities. Dancing in the air, high-speed flight, high-speed movement, purple light spin ball, scorching bullet, infinite light bullet, free will power imperfect. Talent. Destroy energy. Sure enough, destructive energy is a talent, not an ordinary ability. After Leho saw the template of Beerus, a hint of excitement appeared on his face. This is what he guessed before. If destructive energy is an ability, look at the progress of Leho's template creation just now. Absolutely cannot be unlocked. After all, the destructive energy is very powerful, and it may only reach more than 80% of the progress. It is possible to unlock the destructive energy. But if destructive energy is a talent, it will be different. Even if the progress is only 1% or even 0.1%. This does not affect Leho's mastery of destructive energy. It's like Majin Buu's immortality doesn't come from his strength. It is a powerful talent that he possesses. Therefore, in this way, Leho can use destructive energy. Although the progress of Beerus' inheritance is not enough. None of his other abilities can reach the strongest state, and when the same trick is used, the power is also very different. But at least the destructive energy is still there. And this destructive energy has become one of Leho's abilities, and it is linked to Leho's strength. Although it may not be able to completely destroy the piano with the strength of a single universe level or above. But if you want to deal with her imperfect Phoenix Force, it's still fine. This is Leho's trump card. Now he finally has a trump card. After all, the Super Saiyan transformation, although the combat power has increased dramatically. But sometimes, it's not a question of combat effectiveness. Some evil gods, magicians, etc. have special abilities. It's very difficult to deal with, and it doesn't matter if you have high combat effectiveness, you will definitely be able to solve it. Just like the dragon in Dragon Ball, the weak scum itself. But he gave Dark Zamasu the immortal body, which made Zamasu extremely difficult to kill in the later stage. Another example is the red tank under the influence of the evil god's ruby power, its power is not comparable to that of the mutant red tank. Those are all powers beyond ordinary humans. But now Leho doesn't have to worry, because he is also a god in a sense. God of destruction. With destructive energy, he can easily destroy those special forces. Lee, why are you in a daze again? Clarice touched Leho's forehead immediately, and said with some concern. Recently Leho is often in a daze, and sometimes giggles. This involuntarily reminded her of a disease, Alzheimer's disease. It is commonly known as Alzheimer's disease. I'm fine. Leho pinched Clarice's face immediately, and smiled immediately. But if he knew Clarice's worries, he didn't know what he would think. I'll go to the combat space to practice for a while, you guys go get some food. I'm afraid I'll be very hungry soon. Leho said with a smile. because of the inheritance of the relationship between the three character templates of Kakarot, Fat Boo, and Beerus. This made Leho's stomach always hungry. That's right, I'm definitely not a foodie, a rice bucket, or a big eater. They are all the reasons for inheriting the template characters. Recently, the appetite has increased a lot. It is good. Let's go right away. Clarice immediately went to the cafeteria with Alice to cook for Leho. Enter. Leho immediately entered the super combat system. He needs to feel the power of Beerus, the god of destruction. Of course, it's just the second generation of Leho with twice the strength. After all, Leho just wanted to become proficient in the power of Beerus, the god of destruction, instead of purely coming here to seek abuse. Besides, having just obtained new strength, Leho will definitely start training again from his twice as strong self. Only by defeating yourself who is twice as strong can you prove your own strength. It has been thoroughly integrated. Otherwise, it would be equivalent to leaving a treasure mountain empty without digging it out thoroughly. Great wealth is buried deep in Baoshan. Come on, let me see how strong I am with the power of God of Destruction Beerus. Leho's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. It seemed that the Saiyan blood in his body was boiling again. Facing new unknown enemies, Saiyans are always full of excitement. Kakarot, in particular, seems to incorporate this Saiyan lineage. It became more pure. He enjoys fighting, enjoys the improvement brought about by cultivation, and enjoys the fun of being able to fight against the strong. Even if I was killed by myself many times. If he didn't have the Dragon Ball, he would have died countless times. Leho's face was full of fighting spirit, but he didn't wait for him to say a handsome opening remark. The second generation suddenly disappeared. Next moment, in the sky behind him, an unimaginable energy fluctuation suddenly descended. Boom! In an instant, the terrifying destructive energy directly destroyed Leho. After a while, Leho slowly opened his eyes, with a strange look on his face. I was killed by one move. He was speechless. Obviously, he was able to fight against the second generation of Leho twice as much before. But I didn't expect that the second generation after the creation of the God of Destruction Beerus template. The strength has improved so much. But that destructive energy is really strong. Leho recalled the feeling of being instantly killed by the destructive energy before, and couldn't help feeling palpitations. It's hard to describe that feeling, but it's indeed terrifying. It seems to break everything and destroy everything from the rules. The explosive and destructive power of Kamahe Qigong is different. Whether it's ordinary Qi bombs, Kamahe Qigong, various applications of Qi. In fact, in essence, they all belong to some kind of physical and logical destruction. But the destructive energy is different. He seems to have completely destroyed it, essentially. Leho thought carefully about the feeling of being destroyed by the destructive energy just now. Very good. This is indeed a very powerful whole card. He nodded in satisfaction. The next step is to practice hard and fully master this power. Then defeat the second generation of Leho who has double the destructive energy. My current mental state is not bad, I can continue to challenge in the combat space. School backyard. There is a quiet little garden here. Professor X's tombstone stands here. At this moment, Wolverine, sitting next to Professor X's tombstone, took a long puff of a cigar in his hand. Charles, what will the future of the school, the future of the X-Men look like? Lee, although he is talented and smart, but his goal. It has nothing to do with you at all. Logan slowly leaned against the tombstone, looking at the sky and muttering to himself. Losing Professor X's academy made Wolverine a little strange. This made him recall those years of wandering alone. Boom. However, at this moment, a picture suddenly appeared in Ron's mind. Somewhere in a dark space, a woman who was bound by chains and hung in the air screamed and struggled in pain. The woman was covered in scars and naked, and she was extremely miserable. Gradually, the woman slowly raised her head. Immediately the next moment, Logan's eyes bulged suddenly, and he sat up from the tombstone with a fright. Because that face is Jean Grey. Whoa! The chains made a piercing sound with an icy breath. In the dark space, there seemed to be no light, but Logan could see Chin's face. Chin. Logan rubbed his eyes immediately. But the next moment, that picture disappeared. Instead, there are bursts of calls from the soul. Help me, Logan, pain, suffering. Save, miserable and sad, it goes straight to the depths of my heart. Chin, Logan squeezed the cigar into pieces. Even if the fireworks are burned out, there is no leisure and elegance to appreciate them before. Boom, but at this moment, a terrifying breath erupted from the depths of his heart. Logan felt dizzy all of a sudden. He shook his head vigorously, but the voice in his heart disappeared. Chin, but no voice answered him again. Jane must be in danger. Yes, it must be her. It's that kind and beautiful Chin. Wolverine suddenly went crazy. He immediately rushed to the Academy parking garage, got on Cyclops' motorcycle, and drove off into the distance. Logan. After the Storm Girl knew about this, she suddenly looked a little unhappy. At such a critical moment, Logan actually left the Academy. But when I called Logan, the other party just said, "I'm going to find Chin and bring back the real Chin." Although he was very upset and even complained about Logan, Orlo knew it. With Logan's obsession with Chin, she couldn't stop it. Now, the strength of the Academy is much weaker. This gave Storm a headache. Hey, I think it's better not to tell Scott about it. Let's say that Logan went to find the location of Magneto. Storm felt so hard. With a sigh, he immediately walked towards the office building. Wolverine left the school, so the courses and jobs that belonged to him before had to be assigned. All of a sudden shared with others. What a wayward guy. Orlo shook his head. But there is no way, I can't drive the car to chase it out, and stage a show of speed and passion. What's more, Stormy also knows that with Logan's temper, it's useless even if she chases after her. The other party will definitely not come back. This incident can only be regarded as an episode. It did not cause too much fluctuation to the students. It's just some gossip that there is a quarrel between Logan and Orlo. So Wolverine leaves. Although the Storm Girl has come out to refute the rumors. He even explained that Logan's departure was to find the location and whereabouts of Magneto and others. But gossip, whether it is from ancient times to the present, domestic or foreign, or parallel universes, it's all unstoppable. Lee, did Mr. Logan really quarrel with Mr. Orlo and leave? Clarice asked curiously. The fire of gossip in his eyes seemed to be on fire. Will not. Leho smiled and shook his head. Wolverine isn't going to leave over something like this, especially when it's such a critical moment. Therefore, there is only one possibility for the other party to leave. That has something to do with Chin. Let's go to the cafeteria to have a look. I heard that the cafeteria has researched new dishes today. Compared with Wolverine's departure, Leho is more interested in the new dishes in the cafeteria. Okay. When Clarice heard Leho say that there are new dishes in the cafeteria, a smile appeared on her face. Perhaps it was influenced by Leho. Unknowingly, Clarice has also become a snack. It's just that no matter how much Leho ate, his body shape didn't change at all. This made Clarice sour with envy. Because recently, Clarice discovered that she had gained 3 caddies. This made Clarice couldn't help but go to Leho's battle space to fight every night, crazily consuming the energy in her body. Because she knows that Leho likes to be slim. So Clarice, absolutely not allowing herself to gain weight. Sister Alice, why do you eat a lot of food, why don't you gain weight? Clarice asked curiously. I use Spark every day to temper one side of my body and burn off excess fat. Alice said calmly. ... Clarice was taken aback when she heard the words, and then pouted involuntarily. Sister Alice, your wife is cunning. How come there is such a convenient way, don't tell me. Alice looked at Clarice with a smile on her face. I thought you liked fighting. ... Suddenly, Clarice turned into a small lemon. Soon the 3 of them came to the cafeteria. New this time is the cod bacon hot dog with onions. It is a new attempt at the canteen. Leho immediately ordered 30 hot dogs. Then he took Clarice and Alice and found a corner by the window to sit down. Is it really delicious to add onions to hot dogs? Clarice was a little puzzled. Leho just wanted to speak. But at this time, suddenly a person in cleaning clothes came over. What's the matter with you? Clarice asked with some doubts. Lee, can I talk to you? The man didn't answer Clarice, but looked at Leho. Okay. Leho frowned suddenly. He didn't know this cleaning staff, and Leho didn't like the other's attitude very much. Clarice asked the other party politely, but this guy ignored her. Who are you? Leho took a sip of Coke, and then asked lightly. Actually, I'm not a cleaning staff. I am Agent S.H.I.E.L.D, Melinda May. Agent May spoke immediately. Auntie, are you from S.H.I.E.L.D? A trace of surprise flashed in Leho's eyes. He didn't expect that this new cleaning aunt was actually a member of S.H.I.E.L.D. Quote. Maiden was speechless for a while. She is only 30 years old, and she is called Aunt. Yes, I am a 7th level agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. When May said this, she was a little proud. After all, she is a level 7 agent. And then, Leho put the hot dog into his mouth in one gulp and began to chew. This taste has the feeling of bread rolls with scallions and sausages. On behalf of S.H.I.E.L.D, I officially extend an invitation to you. Agent May spoke immediately. S.H.I.E.L.D invited me. A trace of surprise flashed in Leho's eyes. Is this poaching? Sorry, I'm not interested in S.H.I.E.L.D. He took another bite of the hot dog, and then said lightly. Lee, Director Nick appreciates your talent very much, that's why he invited you. If you refuse, I'm afraid the end will be miserable. Agent May spoke suddenly, but there was a hint of impossibility in his voice. Snort. Hearing Agent May's words, Leho's face suddenly became indifferent. With the threat of killing. It seems that I've been a salty fish for a long time, and someone really treats me as a salty fish. Do I think it's easy to handle and bully because I've always been easy to talk and don't show off? Leho stood up slowly, looked at Agent May, with a flash of killing intent in his eyes. He is angry. Ms. Lee, Mr. Orlo told you to come over. At this moment, a senior student ran over and said hastily. Okay. Leho nodded. Ding. Congratulations, Master, you have completed Rosfart's request and obtained the source plus 0.01%. The system's prompt sounded, his all-round mission system. As long as it is something with a hint of request and request. It will allow Leho to gain the power of the original rules. Although there are not many ordinary things, the victory lies in the quantity. However, the current Leho is not in the mood to care about the origin of this 0.01%. Since you are a member of S.H.I.E.L.D. and are lurking in Xavier College, you may have collected information about me. So, is your mission a threat to me? Leho said indifferently. If it was an ordinary joke, he wouldn't care. For example, former classmate Jason also threatened Leho. He just punched the opponent flying, even if it was resolved. Definitely not really angry, but the current Agent May has murderous intent in his threats. Obviously, if Leho refused, the other party might really want to kill him. Having collected my information, you should know my strength. At least the ones I expose to the bright side have the power of a colossus, an energy attack no weaker than Cyclops, and the ability to fly. Then they have the confidence to deal with me. Although Leho was very angry, he thought quickly in his heart. People from S.H.I.E.L.D. are not fools. If they are not sure, they cannot provoke themselves. What is their method? Could it be a sentinel? Leho suddenly thought of the sentinel. Because he's a mutant anyway. And as long as they are mutants, they have an absolute advantage for sentry. It seems that S.H.I.E.L.D. has already had contact with people from Trask Industries. Some kind of cooperation has even been reached. In an instant, Leho understood. It seems that I want to ask some information from you. Leho stepped forward immediately. Don't move or I'll shoot you. Seeing Leho's actions, Agent May's eyes flickered with murderous intent, and he immediately became nervous. After all, she is just an ordinary human being. And the other party was a mutant who was rated as a high-level alpha. Whoosh! Leho was instantly small, and then appeared in front of Agent May. Snapped. Immediately, Leho stretched out a hand and grabbed her neck. He didn't speak, just dragging Agent May towards the office of the teaching building. Along the way, all the people saw this scene, and they showed expressions of surprise. They didn't understand why Leho grabbed the cleaning staff by the neck. But when they saw that there was a pistol in each other's hands, surprise turned to wonder. However, no one dared to step forward to stop Leho. They all know that Leho is powerful, and he is also the teacher of the school. So just a little curious, some people followed behind. Agent May had difficulty breathing, desperately trying to struggle. But she found that the hand grasping her neck was like iron tongs. Even with all her strength, she still couldn't move it. Agent May's face was swollen to a maroon. She exhausted her last bit of strength and fired a shot at Leho-shin's back. But when the bullet hit Leho-shin's body, it was bounced away in an instant. It seems to have hit something hard like adamantium or vibrating metal. What? Agent May was startled. However, her face at this moment was already the color of a pig's liver. Otherwise, it can definitely be seen that her expression has changed drastically. Her pistol has been specially modified, and its power is several times higher than that of an equivalent Desert Eagle. But he couldn't break through Leho-shin's physical defense. It's fine if the opponent is a mutant like Colossus who can change form or even structure. But obviously Leho-shin looks like an ordinary mutant. But how could his defense be so strong? However, Leho-shin ignored Agent May's shooting at all. In fact, his body is getting stronger and stronger with each passing day in the sun. It has long surpassed the ordinary human physique. In addition, he successively created the templates of Kakarot, Fat Boo, and God of Destruction Beerus. This made his physical fitness stronger and stronger. His current physical strength in a normal state is not much worse than that of Colossus after displaying his abilities. It was not the Leho-shin who was a little more cautious when facing bullets before. After all, his strength is almost all the time. During the day, it becomes stronger when exposed to the sun. And at night, although there is no sun. But its inheritance of the three powerful templates is still going on. It can be said that Leho-shin is becoming stronger all the time. Soon, Leho-shin grabbed Agent May and came to Orlo's office. At this moment, Agent May is about to go into shock. Bang! Leho-shin threw Agent May aside as if throwing away trash. Then he looked at Orlo and said flatly, "Looking for me?" Leho-shin's voice was slightly cold. Obviously Leho-shin is still angry now. Seeing Leho-shin like this, Orlo glanced at Baoji suspiciously. But when he saw the modified pistol that was still held tightly in the opponent's hand, he seemed to understand something. "Hill, why are you here?" Agent May, who had just managed to recover a little bit, suddenly found the person standing opposite Orlo. It's her colleague, Level 9 Agent Maria Hill. Vice Principal Orlo, since you said that the non-disclosure agreement still counts, then please quickly resolve the matter of Magneto's chaos. Otherwise, we will treat the non-disclosure agreement as void. At that time, our S.H.I.E.L.D. will take over. Hill ignored Agent May, but looked at Orlo and said, "I said that even if the professor is gone, as long as Xavier College is still there, we will still abide by the original confidentiality agreement. It's just that we haven't found the location of Magneto yet. But we've sent Wolverine to look for it," Orlo said with a gloomy face. S.H.I.E.L.D. was not a good comer, and even went too far. But Xavier College, without Professor X, doesn't dare to be too stubborn now. "Very good. We will also help you find news about Magneto. I believe there will be clues soon, and it's time for you X-Men to dispatch." Hilton smiled and said, "This mission is considered complete. Let's go." Behind the sofa stood two agents in black suits and black sunglasses. "Take Agent May." Hill finished speaking and turned to leave. "And many more." At this moment, Leho-shin suddenly said indifferently, "Okay." Hill turned around and looked at Leho-shin. "Am I letting you go?" Leho-shin looked at Hill and the others coldly. "What do you mean?" Hill raised his eyebrows, looked at Leho-shin and asked. "Let you go." The cold voice echoed around. This made the 9th-level agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. couldn't help but tremble. Killing intent. Hill believed that he would not feel wrong. The young man in front of him might kill her at any time. "What do you mean?" But Hill is a 9th-level agent after all, and he has seen the world. So she tried to keep herself calm. "Earlier you asked. Xavier Academy is still there, so the non-disclosure agreement naturally still counts. So Magneto, we will solve it ourselves. But your Agent May, if you fail to poach the wall, you will threaten me instead. You are here again, coercing our acting principal. Will there be no one in our Xavier Academy? So arrogant, the whole card is the Sentinel. Go back and tell Nick that blind man, I'm angry this time." Looking at Professor X's face in the past, it won't be all ruined this time. Half. But next time, I will be torn up by you as a non-disclosure agreement. If you want to fight, you can ask blind Nick to try. Leho said indifferently immediately. Half of what? When Hill heard Leho's words, his expression changed drastically. Because about Leho's strength, S.H.I.E.L.D. has also made guesses. This is definitely an alpha, and a mutant of the advanced alpha. If the opponent makes a move, it will be very troublesome without sentries. But at the same time, Hill was even more puzzled deep in his heart, half of what the other party said. What means? But soon, Hill knew. Leho raised his hand casually, and a purple-black energy beam suddenly appeared in front of his finger. Then Leho flicked his fingers. Boom! In an instant, a terrifying destructive force flew out from his fingertips. Then, in the shocked eyes of everyone, the beam of light flashed like a knife and disappeared. Okay, you can get out. Leho waved his hand immediately, and directly blasted Hill and Agent May out. PFF'd. The two flew out in embarrassment, landed on the ground and rolled far away. Happy. Iceman Bobby couldn't help but shouted. He just couldn't suppress it. After all, Hill is a member of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Xavier Academy without the professor really dare not provoke him. But now Leho's appearance is simply a tranquilizer. Everyone immediately felt at ease. You sure didn't disappoint me. Orlo was also a little moved. At the beginning she was very optimistic about Leho. How long has passed? The other party has grown from a student to one who can safeguard the dignity and interests of the college. Good job. Phantom Cat Kitty also said. If it weren't for Clarice and Alice already behind Leho, she couldn't help but want to hang on Leho's body. Hill, Agent May and others outside, but they are full of bewildered faces. I don't understand what Leho did, let alone why the other party is so tough. But they still left in despair. Unbeknownst to Hill and the others, the shield has already exploded. An enemy attack. What kind of method is this? Too frightening. All the people were shocked and looked at the scene in front of them in awe. The office building of S.H.I.E.L.D. was split into two. Even S.H.I.E.L.D.'s whole card, the hidden sky carrier, was split into two. In short, everything in S.H.I.E.L.D. was actually divided into two. Half of them were intact, but the other half was completely destroyed. The powerful force is simply unimaginable. Even if S.H.I.E.L.D. activates the shield, it has no effect at all. Everything is destroyed and destroyed in an instant. Could it be that a god has descended? Only half of the front of the S.H.I.E.L.D. building remained, and the one-eyed Nick, with the shock on his face, hadn't disappeared yet. Looking at the scene in front of him, he muttered to himself. This is something that only the mighty power of God can do. Could it be that there are evil gods invading the earth? Nick had a serious look on his face. If this is the case, then the earth will set off a bloodbath again. But when Hill and the others came back, they saw the half-destroyed shield. They finally understood Leho's phrase, half it. What does that mean? Shocked, they quickly told Nick about this. This made Nick, also directly on the bunker. Although he already overestimated Leho's strength, but now it seems. The strength of the opponent is definitely not just alpha level. Could it be omega level? Although this guess shocked Nick, except for this reason. He really had no other possibility to explain what was happening in front of him. Xavier Academy. Suddenly Nick fell into deep thought. If Leho is really omega level, then even if there is no professor, Xavier College must not be careless, let alone ignored. Lee, you were so handsome just now. Although Iceman Bobby is older than Leho, he looks like a little fanboy. Or it can be said that Leho's genius is the attitude that a mutant should have in his heart. Thank you, Lee. Orlo couldn't help but speak. Although the narrator Scott did not speak, he still gave Leho a thumbs up while sitting in a wheelchair. Since Jean killed Professor X, Cyclops has become more and more reticent. And his body was almost sucked dry by Chin last time. It's nowhere near free movement these days. S.H.I.E.L.D. is nothing, but obviously Magneto is going to do something. Leho spoke. I'll keep an eye out. Storm nodded. Seeing that Orlo already had an idea, Leho didn't say any more. He just wanted to enjoy life. It's just that this world is not so peaceful for the time being, and this is why Leho has no choice but to act. But he didn't care either. All conspiracies and tricks, as well as dangers, are vulnerable under strong strength. It won't take long, 3 to 5 months at most. Leho is confident enough to face any strong man in this world. He doesn't care even if it's the 4 great gods or the 5 gods of creation. At that time, it is the real freedom and freedom. That's when you can really enjoy life. Everything now is to become stronger. Bask in the sun, yes. Complete the missions of the almighty system, too. If it wasn't for the former Agent May who made him very upset, Leho would not have taken the initiative to act. He needs someone to take the initiative to speak, so that he can get the reward. As long as there are enough origin points, there are many unlocked systems, and there are many strong templates. It can shorten the time for him to become stronger. The next step is the real orgasm. Leho also looked forward to it. Woohoo! The warm wind gently brushed across the sky. In the lazy afternoon, Leho fermented like a salted fish on the deck chair on the library terrace. Next it is Clarice's precision feeding, and Alice's perfect handwork. Enjoy life, I'm afraid it's nothing more than that. Ding! Congratulations to the master, the combat power detection system has been successfully created. Accompanied by the mechanical sound in his mind, Leho, who was enjoying with his eyes closed, slowly showed a smile on his face. Finally successful, he created the system, albeit with some discipline effort. The combat power detection system, this thing can't improve the combat power, and there is no special increase. It's just for testing combat power. It is a small auxiliary system. This world is still somewhat different from the Marvel world and Dragon Ball world I've seen. The combat power seems a bit chaotic, so the combat power system is still necessary. Leho secretly thought in his heart. He already has the templates of Kakarot, Majin Buu, and God of Destruction Beerus. If this is put in the world of Dragon Ball, even if it is not invincible, it will definitely go sideways. But Leho discovered that he didn't even seem to be invincible in this chaotic Marvel world. After all, there are people like Chin who have awakened the power of the Phoenix. There are still many peak human beings hiding in the dark. This made Leho feel that something was wrong. So get a combat power detection system to see how bad it is. And when encountering enemies in the future, you can have a data in your heart as a measure. After all, his combat power detection system is not the combat power detectors of Frieza and the others. Even if it has hidden strength, it can still be detected. Detect the target, the combat power is 39 points. Leho thought of this, and looked at Clarice next to him. It's so low. He looked at Alice on the other side. Detect the target, the combat power is 97 points. Leho was taken aback for a moment. It's more than twice as tall as Clarice. It seems that Alice's strength is really not weak. Lee, is there something on my face? Seeing Leho staring at her in a daze, Alice immediately touched her face. No, you're fine. Leho pinched Alice's face immediately. The opponent's combat strength is 97 points, it seems that the strength is not weak. How many do I have? He looked at himself curiously. Target detection, combat power 9,962 points, has hidden potential. Hearing the introduction of the system, Leho suddenly became pensive. The normalized combat power is 9,962 points, which is 255 times higher than that of Clarice and almost 103 times that of Alice. This point is not a big problem. Generally speaking, if the strength is more than doubled, the enemy can be easily defeated. If it exceeds 10 times, it is crushing. And more than, this is not a dimension at all. The current Leho is 255 times more than Clarice, and hundreds of times more than Alice. If Leho wanted to kill the two of them, he could do it easily. For example, using Buu's superpower directly can easily solve the two girls. Turning into candy or eating chocolate is a matter of minutes. However, this is not Leho's strongest combat power. Just hidden potential, it seems that the system is temporarily undetectable. Can only be detected. Is it necessary to release it before it can be fully detected? This is a limitation of the system. It seems that too little rule power is consumed, which leads to a bit weak system capability. Leho shook his head. But his power of rules, even with the almighty mission system, has led to the accumulation of power very quickly. But there is still an upper limit, it depends on the strength of Leho's own X gene. I have become stronger and stronger, and the X gene has also been enhanced. But this can't be rushed. As I get stronger, the X gene will eventually become stronger. Leho secretly thought in his heart. This is not a big problem. He just lacks a little time now. Go and try all your combat power. The hidden potential combat power should be his transformation ability. There is also the destructive energy of the god of destruction, and when the chi is raised to the maximum, it will cause changes in conventional combat power. You two go get some afternoon tea first, and I'll find you in the cafeteria later. Leho smiled, immediately got up and flew into the sky. If it uses its power at Xavier Academy, it will cause damage here. So he flew directly outside the Earth. Let's take a look at Super Saiyan transformation first. Boom! Terrifying power erupted in an instant, and the golden air wave was as dazzling as a small sun. Target detection, combat power 79, 6,960 points. Really? The system's notification sounded, and Leho's combat power exploded again. Almost an 80-fold increase. A trace of thought flashed in his eyes. According to the setting, the transformation of Super Saiyan 1 has 50 times the combat power of the normal one. The original source is Dragon Ball Complete Works 7, which is suitable for Dragon Ball comics and animations, and records the fighting power of Wukong in the Namek Star chapter. It's just that Leho's normal combat power is much lower than that in the Dragon Ball world. Maybe it's because the rules of the two universes are different. Leho could only think about it this way. However, this setting was further determined according to the setting collection, Super Excitement Guide Story Chapter, that was later applied to Dragon Ball comics. By the time the theatrical version of Dragon Ball Z, God and God, was released in 2013, this setting was mentioned again in the catalog released by the theatrical version. So it can be seen that this setting does not only refer to Sun Wukong's first transformation into a Super Saiyan, but applies to all characters in the entire series who can transform into Super Saiyans in all periods. Then it looks like this is indeed a change in the rules of the two universes. He thought for a moment. The rules of the universe are different, so it will naturally lead to some changes. The current Leho's conventional combat power is 9,962 points, and the increase is 80 times. Because he has reached the second stage of Super Saiyan 1. It is 50 times stronger than the first stage, and it is much stronger, so it has reached 80 times. However, there is not much difference between the third stage of Super Race 1 and full power. If Leho wants to increase his strength again, he can only wait for the progress to increase again and enter the realm of Super Race 2. According to the setting, the strength of Super Race 2 is 100 times that of normal. And the strength of Super Saiyan 3 can reach 400 times of normal. As for the later Super Saiyan, and Chaosai Shenlong, and even the final God Realm Free Ultimate Intent Kung Fu, those are not how many times the combat power has been increased. It's another fundamental change. However, those who need Leho's process of inheriting the characters need to reach a higher level. Thinking of this, he immediately opened the Properties panel. Swish. Leho immediately opened the Attribute panel and scanned it. Host. Leho. Lifespan. 199 years. Origin. Power of Rules 0.00%. Strength. 293 tons. Spirit. 874, 3 for normal people. Physical strength. 9901, 10 for ordinary people. Speed. 674 meters per second. Combat strength. 9,962. System space. Cube. Possessed systems. Mental shielding system, Sun enhanced system, God level inheritance system, super battle space system, all-around mission system, and combat power detection system. God level inheritance system template 1. Character. Kakarot Son Goku. Race. Saiyan. Progress. 14.9%. Abilities. Dancing Kongshu, Turtle Shockwave, Sun Fist, Control Chi, Energy Bullet, Violence, High-Speed Flight, Teleportation. Transformation. Super Saiyan 1/3 level, Saiyan Giant Ape combat power is increased by 10 times, and more than 1700 million bruise waves are required. Talent. Blood of Battle. God level inheritance system template 2. Character. Majin Buu. Race. Demon. Progress. 12.3%. Abilities. Dancing in the air, high-speed flight, high-speed movement, belly attack, Qigong wave, air bomb, momentum eye, super explosive airflow, burst wave, mind power, deformation light, recovery, differentiation, shape change, recovery light, healing light. Talents: space survival, super cell regeneration. God level inheritance system template 3. Character: Beerus. Occupation: God of destruction. Progress: 11.6%. Abilities: dancing in the air, high-speed flight, high-speed movement, purple light spin ball, scorching bullet, infinite light bullet, free will power imperfect. Talent: destroy energy. It seems that there is still a long way to go. Leho glanced at the 3 major inheritances, and the earliest Kakarot template was only 14.9%. However, he also had a deeper understanding of his own strength. Under normal conditions, the combat strength reached 9,962 points, and under the transformed state, it even reached 79 points. Although it is not as good as the terrifying 1 million combat power of Kakarot in the Dragon Ball world after transformation. But that's because of the difference between the 2 universes. It's like the difference between the beautiful country's knife currency and the instant noodle country's kimchi currency. The quantity is 1 coin, but can the value be the same? Because the rules are different and the universe is different, there are differences. I need to find a unit of measurement. Leho first tested the destructive energy again. The combat power has not changed, which shows that the destructive energy is some kind of rule power belonging to the god of destruction. It is different from the attack of Kamehei Qigong. Then Leho used Kamehei Qigong at full power, and his combat power increased to 100 million. Compared with the basic combat power of 79 points after transformation, the combat power is nearly 6,960 more. It seems that my current peak combat power is around 100 million. Leho finally had a concrete understanding of himself. Whoosh! Soon he was flying back to Xavier College. Wolverine. He first went to Logan to test the opponent's combat power. It's only 88 points. It seems that Wolverine's combat power is not high, maybe it is only at the level of a 3rd level mutant. The strength of the opponent seems to be Edmund Metal, as well as its super self-healing ability. Where's Storm Girl? Leho went to find Orlo and Scott again. The fighting power of these 2 people is more than that of Wolverine. Orlo has a combat power of 211 points. Scott also has 231 combat power. In fact, Leho thought that Storm Girl's fighting power was stronger. But they didn't expect that Scott was stronger than Storm. However, their combat effectiveness is only over 200, I thought it could reach over 1000. The mutant level of these 2 people should be alpha level. Next, Leho tested Colossus and others. Iceman Bobby's current combat power is only 199 points, and Colossus is only 142 points. Katie the Phantom Cat is even less, only 41 points, not much more than Clarice. In the whole school, the combat effectiveness of other students is generally around 10 to 20. Ordinary Cleaning Ant, it's only 0.3. Leho shook his head for a while. He thought that ordinary people at least have the level of fighting 5 scum. It turns out that ordinary people are probably around 0.1, approximately 1. Looking at it this way, the weakest mutants are generally around 10. Still stronger than ordinary people. Of course, the Cleaning Ant only has 0.3 points, maybe the Special Forces can have 3 or 4 points. Comparing this way, it seems that the combat power of this world is indeed lower. Leho was thoughtful. In the world of Dragon Ball, ordinary people with shotguns have 5 points of combat power. During the Dragon Ball Z period, Bulma got Raditz's detector. Found under the detection of Guaxianren and Keelan. Guaxianren's combat power is 139, while Klin's combat power has reached a height of 206. It can also be seen from this that the combat power value of the Dragon Ball world is generally higher than that of Leho's current chaotic Marvel world. It seems that 1 pound is about 0.45 kilograms, which is about 0.9 kilograms. Although the values are all 1 point, the quality that can be represented is unwilling. I just don't know how much Chin's combat power is now. Leho became a little curious. However, fighting power is not everything. After all, in addition to combat power, there are also some special abilities, which cannot be represented by combat power. For example, Leho himself, although he has the highest explosive combat power, it is probably around 1 million. But that doesn't include destructive energy. The destructive energy of the god of destruction Beerus template is the power of a god. Its power is much stronger. I believe Chin, Professor X and the others, their true strength will also exceed combat effectiveness. Leho was secretly vigilant. You can't be careless just because your combat power is strong. Otherwise, on the Namek planet, Klin and Gohan's combat power far exceeds that of the Genuit Team Gouda. But Ji Yudu, who was almost like a weak chicken, used superpowers to wear a string of incense. Teacher Orlo told us to go there. At this moment, Kitty the Phantom Cat ran over and said nervously. Is something wrong? Seeing Katie so nervous, Leho suddenly became curious. It seems that the location of Magneto has been discovered, and the X-Men are about to be dispatched. Katie said slightly nervously, because this time, the person the X-Men are going to deal with is not a single mutant. It's Magneto, and the large number of men he has collected. Is Magneto finally getting to work? Leho understood immediately. Soon he followed Katie towards Orlo's office. As soon as he came in, he saw Wolverine with a dignified expression. I'm sorry Orlo, I noticed Chin's rescue earlier, so I left. Wolverine Logan said apologetically to Storm. Although he came back, Logan also knew that it was his fault to leave irresponsibly before. What do you gain? Orlo asked in a deep voice. Since the other party left after being summoned by Chin, what was the result? Swish. Everyone looked at Wolverine. Orlo stared at Logan even more, with a flash of temper in his eyes. Although Storm is not a stingy person, Wolverine ran away at such a critical moment. Don't even give her a reason. This made Orlo very aggrieved. I saw Chin at that time, in that dim world, chained miserable. Seeing that everyone was looking at him, Logan was silent for a while before speaking slowly. A touching confession that seems to tell a story. Storm Girl and the others suddenly softened their eyes and stopped blaming Wolverine. Tisk tisk tisk. I didn't expect Logan's eloquence to be good. Leho couldn't help sighing in his heart. This Wolverine has a good eloquence, and he talks about things with eloquence and emotion. If it was placed in China in the past, you can go to the bottom of the flyover to tell a story. As expected of an old guy who has lived for so long, he has seen a lot of things in the world. This adjective understands more than I do. Clarice next to her was so moved that she almost cried. The S.H.I.E.L.D. has just sent me the location of Magneto. Their meaning is obvious, let's do it. Storm Girl said in a deep voice. Especially her gaze was on Leho in the crowd. Obviously, in Orlo's opinion, Leho is the strongest person in Xavier Academy now. And what happened last time, Orlo also recognized Leho's behavior style very much. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.